All right, well, we'll get started, I guess, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
My name is Scott Schubert, and I represent ProCraft Dental Laboratory. And we have a family laboratory, my brother and my nephew and I, in Marietta, California, which is right next to Temecula, which is right next to where Dr. Kutz's office is.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been in the business about 30 years. We're fortunate this evening to be co-sponsoring this event, a first webinar. So we're taking advantage of the technology, and we're fortunate enough to have Dr. Kutz here to participate and to co-sponsor this, and to really give us some pearls to help with your practice. Dr. Kutz, to give him a little bit of an introduction. So
Wait, this isn't the hype part, is it?
This is the hype part.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
So he has a growing practice and a growing multiple practices for centers for adult dentistry here in Southern California. And that's where he focuses on mature patients. Dr. Kutz is also a handful of dentists in our area with extensive training.
I am a handful.
He is a handful too.
But I'm one of a handful of
dentists. and we've worked together for many years, and Dr. Kutz sends us all of his lab work, which we appreciate.
I do,
So,
yeah.
Took him a while to come over, but
that's another, we'll tell that story. I'm coming to that story.
Yeah,
this is part of the story.
There you go. So, but he has lots of experience in complete full mouth reconstruction, combining highly advanced cosmetics, dentures, and surgical implant skills, all on 4 cases, lots of implants. He keeps us very busy at the laboratory. And
tell them about the last 6 months. I think they'd like that.
Yeah, the last 6 months is very important because we all know we've had the COVID experience that we've been that's been thrust upon us. And Dr. Kutz has had a unique experience, at least with our clients, in that he's been able to remain pretty much busy. In fact, probably in some ways busier than he's ever been, which is very unique with the customers that we have throughout the country. And tonight he's going to talk about how you can do more large cases and how you can stay busier. And so that's pretty exciting, and we're excited to have him here. And so we'll get started here.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
So that's great. That's great. So
you want to switch over now?
Yeah, let's switch over. We're gonna.
All right, guys, we're going to go to shared screen now so you can see the PowerPoint presentation that I have for you guys. But I want to just continue on what Scott. There we go. Good.
Oh, went back too many.
Okay, let's just go all the way back. So while we're going all the way back here, that was the end of the seminar. So you went reverse. If you got that, you got it all. So here we go. So this is marketing for large cases, and I'm going to go over the 3 things that I think are most important for you. But I want to start with something. Doctors, office managers, this is really for you. And Scott and I have talked for years about let's get together and help practices out there acquire large cases, move out of vanilla dentistry. Nothing wrong with vanilla dentistry, but move out of being a commodity and having your own little niche practice that is somewhat immune from economic ups and downs. I want to add something that is, and Scott has told me this, there's some really top practices in here. So you guys are already doing a lot of these things.
Yeah. Some
of you may be doing, more. That's fine. Hopefully you'll still pick up some nuggets here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you're going to basically tell them how you've done it and how you've been able to stay busy.
Right. I mean, so the COVID thing was a great test of the business model, the marketing model, the practice model, if you please. So, I'm going to show you, what led to that. So 3 things that I do want to say, the major points, why you need to be in charge of your own marketing.
And actually they're on this webinar tonight. So you think these are the people that are willing to take charge? I mean, they've made a step.
They probably are in charge of their own marketing more than the average. So you guys were probably preaching to the choir a little bit, in other words.
Maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. So, which is great, but hopefully we all can learn from each other. By the way, back to the chat questions. Did we talk about that already? The chat questions, how we're going to handle that?
Yes, we haven't talked about it, but basically we're going to take breaks throughout the program for your questions. And so please utilize the chat. We'd also encourage you to turn off your microphones, and so that we don't have any interference or people asking questions at this time. So use the chat to give us feedback, and we'll address your questions. So.
Excellent. So I think every doctor and office manager, every practice should have control of their own marketing, number one. Why? Because, well, I'm going to show you why. You're the one that can do it best for a very, very special reason. You know yourself. Let me just put it that way. Number two, why word of mouth is the foundation of all marketing and of everything. Without that, that's the number one reason marketing fails, by the way. Number three, what most determines your gross income. That's a little nugget I was telling Scott before we began. If you just take away this one thing, it is what will increase your income the most rapidly, and like next week. If you
sounds like a big nugget.
It's a big nugget, big gold nugget.
So
this is live. You want to take over there?
Sure. We're live, and so I don't know what I was going to say at this part.
I think we already said it. We want your chat questions. So we're going to move rapidly.
Dr. Cutts is open to receiving your emails night and day. And so anytime.
I'll read them during the day.
After the program, if you have questions, and of course, I'm here for you too. So
awesome. So there's our email addresses. I think you probably already have them if you signed up, but they're fine. A little bit about my practice and me. I live with 5 women. I work with 10. This is my dental family at the office.
Looks like a pretty rough group.
Real rough crowd. So we're in Temecula, and if you know Temecula at all, it's an old Western town, beautiful area, now known for, you know, wineries and Pachanka Indian Reservation entertainment and all that sort of thing. But it still has an old Western feel to it. I love Temecula. I sound like the...
Didn't you tell me that when you first started here, because you've been here a few years, you had a hitching post out in front of your office?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So horses and things like that. So kind of unique.
The first year I associated with the legendary Dr. Bob Wilson, who was a cowboy and a singing cowboy and a surfing volleyball player a dentist from UCLA. May he rest in peace, moved to Utah years ago. Anyway, right down on 4th Street, we had a hitching post in front of our.
Wow.
So this is actually taken down there in Old Town, and we're all dressing up. And my 4 daughters are there. My wife there on my lap with the rose. She is a character, as you can see, and my lovely wife. And then 3 of my staff, Brenda, Myra, and Bianca.
So I'd say that's a rose, many roses among one thorn, right? Oh, here the roses are again.
Here are the roses again. So to me, the point is, we're going to get to the marketing of large cases in a second. Okay, so look, here it's a woman's world is my point here.
I think it's important that you're going through this because I mean, we had a patient that visited our laboratory. We're 15 minutes away, came there for a custom shade. Dr. Cutts sent him over. And I always like to talk with the patients when they come in, and my office is right there. And this lady, I asked her, well, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Dr. Cutts' office. And she started just talking about Dr. Cutts and his family and just how, wonderful they were and how she knows them. And so Dr. Cutts really does have a family practice, which I think is a key selling point for you, because this individual, I didn't get her name or remember her name, but she just loved you guys. And so that has to be a part of
We don't send anyone over unless they love us.
There you go. There you go.
So there is a connection here because who you are and your story, let's segue right into marketing, is what people want to know about. And they make their buying decisions, believe it or not, based on their perceptions of you and having a family and being, or not, whatever is your story.
Being likable, I think.
Yeah,
is a big thing.
Being real to them.
Yeah.
So here's a little quick slide of Temecula Valley. Again, #1 place to live on the planet, as far as I'm concerned. We're 40 minutes from Del Mar Beach, which we go to all the time in the summer, and then we're an hour and 10 minutes from Palm Desert, which is where our second practice is opening as we speak in Indian Wells. I'll go into that later. Okay, so here we go into the framework for this presentation. I'm keeping it short and sweet: marketing, promotion, sales, and wow delivery. I kind of forgot the delivery on that part, frankly, but we'll hit each of these. So you're going to see 4 sections here. We'll get 2 important points from each section. There's a lot to say about each section. By the way, Scott, in a couple of weeks, we're going to continue this. And what we're going to take is I'm going to dive into clinical dentistry. I do a little bit at the end here, doctors. But we're going to dive into that. But I'm going to have a whole 45 minutes on delivering all on 4 cases.
Yeah, and I know from our experience as a laboratory, Dr. Cutts has helped us, at least helped me, feel comfortable that I can recommend our services with those types of cases because they're so complicated. I know quite a few of the dentists that I spoke to about this program, they're not quite doing all on 4 cases, but they're interested in doing more. And so, or they've done one and it didn't go very well. And so Dr. Cutts can help roughen out or smooth out those edges, not roughen them out, smooth out those edges. He's helped us as a laboratory, and I know he's visited other laboratories too.
Yeah, I'm going to go into
and
that.
learned a
big
lot
time.
and stuff. So
I have the holy, basic. Well, should I tell them? I mean, I have researched.
You've been doing it for, I mean, as a part of your marketing, this is how you got to, being busy through COVID, I think. So
yeah. So, doing all on 4 cases, and I'll hit it when we get to WOW clinical delivery there, is I think everyone can be doing them and should to some degree. Why hand over the biggest cases? But they can be tricky, and I'm going to show you how to do them. So again, if you look at that puzzle there, marketing, promotion, sales, and delivery, WOW delivery.
And you're going to start with marketing, right?
And we're going to start with marketing.
Okay,
so at the end of each section, I'm going to recap the 2 main points from each section. So don't worry if you miss anything, no problem. So marketing is a lot of things. If you look in a dictionary or read marketing books, which I'm afraid some of us have done, it's confusing. There's all kinds of things that can be called marketing, but I'm going to simplify it for y'all. Marketing is basically selling something or getting it sold, or marketing itself is separate from promotion. And I'm about to show you the difference. What you're going to say?
Well, I was going to say your first point on your marketing screen share here is picking that one thing, which is what you've had to do. And I'm assuming that over the years, you've probably, it's been a progression to get to that point to realize that that's what you needed to do.
It has. And here's the first golden nugget. We're going to hit it, recap. It's one of the recap points. Watch for this in about 90 or 2 minutes. The biggest mistake in marketing that I see, or one of the biggest mistakes, is what's called shotgun marketing. So you put it on an advertisement or a postcard or whatever, and you say, come in for a cleaning, and we do whitening, and we do this, and we do that, so forth and so on. That doesn't really allow you to stand out in the minds. Let's say you do all on 4 or cosmetic dentistry or other big ticket items. Shotgun marketing dilutes and distracts the would-be buyer. They can't single you out of the crowd. So I hope you see what I'm talking about there. So you focus. pick out one thing. I'm talking about not in your, just for that promotional piece. So when you're deciding to promote something, promote one thing at a time. Okay.
Become the authority or the expert on that. It
allows you to become the authority, but the reason you pick out one thing is so you don't confuse people, so they know that they perceive that that's what you do the most. Okay. I mean, the truth is I do dentures, I do root canals and crowns, I do single implants, I do all sorts of things.
Do cleanings too?
No, I don't do cleaning.
well, why don't you focus your marketing efforts on cleanings?
Well, that's funny you say that, but I look at
we went over this before, so that's.
I don't know if we went over this. Doctor's office managers, I'm going to tell you, the thing that drives me most crazy in marketing is I'll see someone spend a lot of money. Postcard marketing, direct mail, is not cheap, and if you're sending out postcards that are advertising or promoting cleanings, that's like. I mean, I don't see how you can do that and we'll go into the cost of that at another webinar where I really break down how you do direct mail marketing and so forth and so on. But the bottom line is marketing. Let's just get into it and finish it. It's just picking out one thing, getting really good at that thing, understanding it, why people want it, what determines who they buy from. Let's take all on, for example. For example, like Scott said, I've gone to the top, I don't know about the top, the largest laboratories in the world. I've worked with the top technicians in the world. The big kahuna that we all know is the biggest implant prosthetic centers in the world. I'm inside that organization, literally. I know what's happening. I know how they do their cases. I know how they promote their cases. Well, you know how they promote their cases because you see the television commercials and the Super Bowl ads. But the bottom line is I've immersed myself in the subject of all on 4 or full arch implant prosthesis. So that's that step 3. And then number 4, create great content that engages, educates, and entertains. And I'm in marketing. We're done with marketing, but that's what you do in marketing. And there's much more in that. We'll have a whole hour webinar just on that. But marketing is not yet at selling. That's promotion. So let's go to the last, to what marketing really is. It's content that engages, educates, and entertains. And I'm going to show you some examples of that in a second. It does not itself sell, like I just said. So this is, I came up with this. I was thinking like, well, what is most advertising and promotion like without the foundation of content marketing? By the way, content marketing is mainly stories. You're telling stories about things that are not necessarily directly related.
We talked about this the other night about your newsletters and things, and a lot of times your newsletters aren't about dentistry, but they're selling they're not really necessarily selling, but that's what they do.
They're not selling,
but they're just promoting, your lifestyle or the office here.
They're connecting with the patient.
There you go.
That's all it is. Yeah. So offers to buy something without content first, stories first, things that make you real, are like that friend, quote unquote, that only calls when he needs something. So if you just send out, please come in and have your smile done, please, here's an all-on-4 offer, whatever, and you're not, well, here's how important content is.
Eventually you tune that friend out, right?
You tune that friend out. So here are my examples of content and branding. So these are my newsletters. So on the left there, you see, is there a doctor on board? And the subtitle is 30,000 feet over Las Vegas. That's a story of me flying back from Park City, where our second home is to be, or just about to be. That's where our family is up there in Utah. So we go there a lot, and we're flying home, and Debbie and I are flying home in February it was. And I heard that dreaded, is there a doctor on the plane? I didn't even move because I, let someone else handle this. As long as I won't tell you the whole story, but the bottom line, I resuscitated a guy who was in hypoglycemic shock. And I don't think I saved his life, honestly. I think he probably would have been okay. But
he was a doctor too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was an orthopedic surgeon. It was a hilarious story. So by the way, every one of these, if you all want them, just email me and I'll send you a copy of each one of these newsletters.
They're a great read too.
Yeah.
So just a great read, very entertaining.
Thank you. So. And we're going to do, Scott and I are going to do a whole hour webinar just on producing your own newsletters. Because the newsletters that I see out there that are produced, there's one pretty good group out of Idaho, I think they are. I forgot the name of them right now. They're orange. That's sort of their logo color. They're quite good. I almost went with them. I couldn't because this is the quality that I want. I want my newsletter to represent the quality of my dentistry, and I have not found anywhere else. And then I can show you how to make these, print yourself, mail them yourself, really quite inexpensively. So there you go. There's the Women in My Life story. I wrote everything I know about women. That's a whole article. The Valentine, I sent out a Valentine that it basically was little short stories of all the senior citizens falling in love, re-falling in love, re-getting married. My mother-in-law finding her boyfriend. It's great. And then we celebrate 35 years in Temecula. So if you want a copy of those, I'll be happy to send them. Just email me.
What about offices? I mean, you've had a lot of writing experience. Probably did that in high school or college. Or what if you don't have that in your office? So that's I don't know if you want to answer that.
No, we're going to tease them because the real answer is going to be in the webinar.
Okay.
I'm joking. Well, I'll help you with that. I believe everyone has a story, and they should actually write it. If you do write yourself, oh my God! If you are a writer of any sort at all, and everyone is my firm belief. Oh my God, you should be using that skill like crazy. So again. If you want those, I'll send them to you. So a little thing on branding. So one sub part of branding is branding. But let's just say what branding is and is not. It is whatever the patient see or experience that sets you apart from the other offices. What is the brand of a really good restaurant? It's the food and the service. So the same thing for dentistry. It is not your logo. Don't bring up, no.
Yeah, you told me not to bring up that story about your logo. How much did you spend on that?
And my wife is watching this, I believe, and she's like, I told you not to do this. Okay, so
where's that logo today?
I don't know. I don't even know. I literally don't even have it. Okay, so
how much did it cost? Sorry to drive that home.
You are ruthless, Scott. Okay, so here's this, before we can twist the knife any further, I spent $9,000 on a logo that never got even to finish stage. I just gave up in frustration and whatever. And of course, my wife the whole time was saying, I told you not, and she was right. And my wife has been right on some really major things in life. I'm listening to her more and more, by the way. Anyway, the story is, short story, long, painful story short. I contracted with someone who said, I can make you a logo that will change your entire practice. That will make you the place for patients to go for all on four. And I'm sorry, marketers out there, I hope people see this on my YouTube channel. You do not know how to market another person better than they themselves, and your logo is going to do very, very little. So that's wasted money. Again, that's back to the point of what we're about to hit here to recap the section on marketing. Why should you be in charge of your own marketing? Why should you be really an expert in marketing, as good marketing as you are at a crown prep? Because of that right there, you won't lose money. Websites that are $20,000 a piece, that's useless. You know, you should spend a couple $1,000s maximum on a website. That's not going to make or break your practice, despite what any salesman says.
And you have a beautiful website.
Do I really?
Been on there.
I haven't looked at it lately.
Okay, so
I'm serious. Every time I go on there, I'm surprised that they actually put my latest newsletter on and we're actually current. So branding is really not a logo. In other words, it is what you do and the quality of the service that you do it with. Okay, so here's some examples of branding. A little story here. Did I tell you the story about the wee pads?
I don't think you did.
Okay,
I would have remembered that.
My wife, my lovely wife, comes into this store, into the picture again.
Is this a product that you guys recommend?
Sorry. So we're driving back from Del Mar Beach, and my wife says, I said, I need to use the bathroom. And she says, oh, okay, we've been walking the beach an hour. They don't have toilets there anymore. So I said, we're right on Via de la Valle there. There's a nice, what is the name of that fancy grocery store? I said, stop off at the fancy grocery store where they have nice, clean bathrooms. And
the Gelson's?
Gelson's, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
And for all of you people back in New York, I know we have people from Florida, New York, Alabama, the Northeast, whatever. You know, Gelson's is a really fancy upscale grocery store. So I want to go to Gelson's to go to the bathroom. My wife says, I need puppy pads. We have 6 dogs. The little rascals, half of them they all live in the house now and sleep with us. So when I was a young man, I said, I'm never going to live in a house where I have 6 dogs and they sleep in my bedroom. Well, here I am. So anyway, so she goes, can you go into Petco for me? I said, okay, I'll go in. And so I don't know, one exercise I want to give you all in terms of marketing, you have to become students of marketing and have to kind of eat, live, sleep, breathe it type thing to get really good at it. I see marketing everywhere I go. So that's the point of this slide. Wee pads. And look at the things that they put on there. Instarise border. Where are the other ones? I had 4 other pictures that maybe she couldn't fit them on, but they have wee pads. What are the names of the other one? But the point is they put things on super absorbent, raised border, made out of organic child's diapers was one of them, not joking. So what is the point of, well, you look at the eggs, happy eggs. Okay, that heritage organic milk, on the back side of it has a picture of a little girl who's the granddaughter of the founder of the farm. Basically, branding of this sort of saying, buy me. Oh, because
go to the store, get the milk with the little girl on it.
Well,
kind of thing.
See, that's what marketing is, knowing your your buyers. So we as dentists have to understand intimately our patients and how they think and where they're coming from, and because we want them to buy us. So the other thing about branding, and I didn't put it in here, is that if you can brand yourself, basically that you're above, you're the place to go to, you can charge more.
That makes good sense.
Yeah,
makes good sense.
Well, the milk here, that was $5.95. The regular milk from this generic Stater Brothers out here, or Vons or Safeway or whatever, $3.99. So that's $2 that company is making more than the others. So you as a dentist, that's the value of understanding marketing.
So
branding.
if you have your brand, if you have a brand, set your brand up so that you'll get paid more, and your patients will see the value in it, right? And so, so
And
what have you done in your practice to do that?
to do what?
Well, to establish your brand so that, you know, your patients want to come here, I guess.
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
You're it's the last section. It's
Okay.
the
All right.
secret.
Okay. All right.
So
It's the big rock. So
here's the point. Who knows your brand best? You do. Because your brand is you and your story and why you do, how you do, why you're a doctor, why you're an office manager, why you love dentistry, which I know a lot of you do. And aren't we in an awesome profession in this day and age? I wouldn't want to be in a lot of other professions. You know, patients still will walk past, if you have a high quality, warm, caring type office that's having fun, which is what this is all about. You're trying to create a whole corporate culture with what we're talking about here. Your patients will just, our patients just sign up left and right, but you should be in charge of your branding, your marketing, the whole thing.
you know, that tells me too that it starts with you, the dentist, the leader of the practice too. You got to have a positive attitude. Dr. Cutts has a great attitude, very positive, and so it trickles down, I'm sure, into his practice.
For sure. And
else,
honestly, doctors, I'm going to speak to a couple of you. A couple of you are kind of burned out, maybe not enjoying what you're doing. I've been there. So you have to kind of step back and just, I don't know, you know what I mean? Just look in the mirror, look around or whatever and say, you know, I'll say, this isn't even part of the webinar. I've had a few times I've been burned out, and I finally realized something that I think my mother taught me. You only get out of something what you put into it. What was I putting into dentistry? Was I really putting everything I had? And the number one thing I have is caring about my patients and truly enjoying them and not trying to sell them, which we're about to come to. So, you know, if that's a little side tip right there, hopefully that's helpful. So here's the 2 takeaways from marketing. You know your brand and can communicate it better than anyone else. It's because your brand is your story, and you all have a story. By the way, can you all chat? We're going to check the chat.
Yeah, right after this. Yeah.
Can you chat? We have to go out of share screen to check chat your questions, and we're going to answer your questions at the end, but I would love for you to chat, not just a question, but a comment of what you think your story is. This is like a little exercise here. What do you think we're going to do more of this in the brand, the whole.
Or the other thing is, what do you want your story to be? Maybe you have a new dentist there and he's.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, yeah, so it may not be established yet.
By the way, young doctors, you know, like Scott just said, everyone has their story, and that will appeal to patients. I can tell you as a young doctor, don't worry that because I have 36 years of experience and I've done all on blah, blah, blah. Patients love young doctors. They love to help you. They feel like they're part of your, you know what I'm saying, in dental school? Well, it's the same out in private practice. So every junction point, every decade along your career, you have a story and patients love being part of it. That's an untapped resource almost, I think, to understand that. So you know your brand, communicate better than anyone else, number 1. And number 2, don't shotgun market. It just puts you down, you know, it just it doesn't allow you to stand out from the rest. Okay, so the ultimate brand is wow service. And here's again where I want you to chat here, because wow is when you greatly exceed the patient's expectations. I underline the word expectations because we're going to go into that in a second. I'll tell you a little story on it. In fact, maybe it's right here that we're going to go into it. But back to wow, what wow is. People only talk to others about wow experiences. They don't talk about average experiences. Of course, I put in parentheses, they talk about negative experiences. But as far as word of mouth promotion, it only comes from wow.
I think you have a story, don't you?
Do I?
For a while, yeah. I mean, you told me about a patient the other day.
Before you go out, let's see your examples. Okay, so chat, I would love to hear what is the latest, thank you.
There we go.
What is the latest restaurant, store, experience? Anything where, think of the last thing where you said wow to yourself when you walked away from that. I love seeing those things. For me, it was Leoness Winery here. We have our go-to places to eat in Temecula. If you want to know those places, just email me. Speak up the common, just email, I'll answer all the questions.
You know, I don't know about you, but going through this COVID experience, we've got people with masks out there. My wow experiences recently, I went to the beach and I ordered takeout and I ate tacos on the beach, and the tacos were wonderful. But you know, so your wow depends on you know, where you've been. So
Well, actually, there's an example right there. A wow is whatever you're talking about.
mhm.
You see what I'm saying?
Whatever you're excited about. Huh?
Yeah, you know,
So-
I mean, actually, you know, my most recent wow experience was I went back east. Debbie and I went back to Vermont, my home state, for the fall colors last week, and just got back 2 days ago. And the wow was just having some evenings with friends, old friends from college basketball and football days and all that. And I mean, so a wow experience may not be something you buy or whatever.
Now,
but
now you told me about a patient that you had come in that your treatment coordinator, or maybe was it Dana, that talked with him about getting treatment, and he was a candidate for maybe getting implants. Is that
you're jumping
want
ahead
to? Is that
again,
something you want to
Scott.
share now?
That's in the selling section.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So that story I'll come to in just a
Okay.
second. So let's go back to the screen share here. So I see, so are you guys chatting in?
You don't see any questions.
I don't
yet,
see any
but,
wows.
there's no hard questions.
I see comments.
There's no questions at all. So, but you still have a chance.
Is anybody out there? We better check on that.
Yeah, we have quite a few.
I'm just,
participants
we're
there, so-
joking. Okay, good.
So we're glad you're here, everybody. So
Yeah,
let's-
we have a good
We'll
crowd.
continue on with the WOW experience. Are you through with this screen
Yes.
share? So
Okay, go into it. Yep. So now we're on to promotion. Okay, so just to recap here, marketing we're done with, promotion, and then we'll hit sales and wow delivery. And here we go, promotion. So it looks like marketing content and stories and so forth and so on. And you're going to see an example in a moment where they can be mixed. But basically, a promotion is specifically where you're offering something to buy. Okay, so now you're being that friend that asks for something or whatever,
Mhm.
but hopefully you have all the content and the relationship with the patient and connection, engagement, so that when you say, hey, I've got this service here for you to buy, you know, that it's in a good foundation.
So in our context, the marketing for you was determining that you wanted to do more big cases,
Mhm.
more large full mouth cases, all on 4 cases and things like that. The promotion of it, what does that look like?
So here it comes right here. So, but
Okay.
just to recap something, by far the best promotion is word of mouth. And that only comes from wow. So you're starting to see the connection that your wow delivery is your marketing and promotion. That's the trick of this whole thing.
Okay.
I wish I forgot to make a graphic, or I didn't have time, frankly, where basically it's a circular spiral going up. You start with incredible delivery, that becomes wow word of mouth, and that becomes per promotion. So wow delivery, word of mouth, promotion, and that is your marketing. And then you promote that itself with testimonials and so forth. But more importantly, your people out there, thousands of patients, are saying, "Oh, this is the place to go. That's the place to go." Definitely. By the way, the number one thing I'm known for, other than clinical things, as far as doing large cases and being good at what I do, is being honest. That's the number one thing. And why do I know that? Because that's what patients say. I came here because so-and-so said you'd tell me the straight truth and not, oh, it's almost worked, straight tooth.
Yeah, straight to.
That was good.
Mhm.
Okay.
I have to remember that.
Yeah, excellent. Note that down, please. So that itself is branding, or what the patients are perceiving. And I listen carefully to what the patients say. So let's go on to some.
So to summarize that, you're trying to sell is kind of a bad word sometimes, but you're trying to sell the patient not necessarily what you think they need, but really, or not what you think they want or need, but what they really need.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
And giving them the options and.
But you're jumping
So
into the selling again. We're not
okay.
there.
All right.
You remember it's marketing, promotion, sales, and delivery?
That's right. That's right.
I have to get back. Scott, it takes that $9,000 logo story, and it just will never let me forget it. So I have to, get back at them. So other than word of mouth, here are the other kinds of promotion. There's email, direct mail, social media, which is Facebook and whatever the other ones are. Digital media, which is different than social. Social media is digital media because it's on a computer, but digital promotion itself, Google ads, pay-per-click things, whatever, and then radio and television. So let's go to some of my examples of promotion that this is my number one.
These are your number one pieces, right?
Yes.
That you use.
So there's two pieces here, and the back of both of them is the same. So the first one is the zircon, my zircon bridge, we call it, I guess. For this, you and I would call it all-in-4. I think actually the public calls it all-in-4 too, but I call it a zircon bridge. Are you over 50 and want real teeth? So notice I'm promoting one thing.
And this fits into your centers for adult dentistry too.
Correct.
That's who you're focusing on.
Right.
And can you go into a little bit of why you focus on that group?
Well, it reminds me of that favorite, there's a quote, I think a lot of you will recognize. It's an old famous quote. There was a bank robber named Willie Keeler. This is not part of the webinar. I'm just making this up as we go.
Is this a TEMECULA guy?
No.
This is really a fictitious character you're making up as you go?
No, it's a true story, but I wasn't planning to talk. So there's this, but the quote applies here. He said, why promote to large cases only, whatever.
Or to that age group.
That age group. Thank you. That's what it was. So the answer is kind of like Willie Keeler, the bank robber. When he got caught, finally the judge says, so Willie, why are you robbing banks? And he goes, because that's where the money is.
So
have you ever heard that one?
I've never heard that.
It's a true story. There was a Willie Keeler, and he did say that to a judge. So, why am I promoting to older population? Because that's where the money is. That's where the large cases are. Now, yes, I'm young.
So if you want to do large cases, go to where those people are.
Yeah, you're giving away some of my real trade secrets here because promoting to large. Oh, okay.
Well, that's my golden eye, is to dig these things out to help you doctors. So.
Okay. Well,
just kidding.
Okay, so we already went through that. So here it is. You've been waiting for it. What's the number one promotional thing that will make money next week? Okay. And that is promoting not in a direct mail campaign. Don't send out postcards to your entire city or whatever. It is sending out email promotion to your own patients. And this is a fascinating point. I've proved this over years and years and years. Dana, my office manager, who will be here for one of these webinars, who's the one, well, it'll be for the email one. We're going to show you exactly how to set up on Constant Contact or Salesforce or any of the other programs like that, your emails. By the way, I know a lot of you are doing this. I just realized that. I got to say that again. I know a lot of you are doing this. But I mean, I know you guys do that for the matter.
We do, but I think you forget.
Yes.
You forget and you slip back into old patterns, or you don't look at the most effective way to do it. And I like the way you guys are doing it, which is, I want to jump to sales again, but it's selling, but it's a real soft sell that doesn't get people to turn things off.
Well,
you sent out an email just the other day that was about chocolate and the benefits of chocolate.
I have no idea what Dana sends out.
So
Dana,
I mean, I was looking for, this, I copied the picture. I like the picture so well. I copied the picture. It's on my desktop of chocolate.
Dana sends out,
I can use it.
And so you're going to get a chance to meet Dana, my daughter, who's our office manager. She's in charge, of course, in charge of that. I'm looking at these things and like, well, that's interesting. I haven't seen that picture. She'll do Throwback Thursdays, a picture of the kids when they were 10 years old, or picture of me when I was playing basketball in college, or I was a high school teacher for a few years in the Virgin Islands. Debbie and me when we were married. Anything. But
she's promoting your story.
That's called content.
Right.
Yeah. I skipped one major, back to marketing. If you want to go forward to selling, I'm going to go back to marketing.
It's all good.
Marketing, if you want to know how true what I'm saying is, as far as tell a story, engage people, that's more important than selling to them. Think of Super Bowl ads. Think of them right now. Play your favorites. I mean, I know I know the favorite Super Bowl ad of all time for everyone. That is come on.
I like the Clydesdale horses.
Exactly.
But,
good. This was not rehearsed, and he passed that test. It's the Clydesdales, the little one that gets lost and comes back. So, I mean, if corporations that spend hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing and promotion, they have the center stage at the most watched event in all of humankind. And what do? They tell stories.
And they're not really even talking about the content of their beer or which water they use.
Well, how many times you don't even know what was that ad about? What were they? Well, they're not. You don't even know who did it sometimes, which is a little obscure. You want to know who it is. So that's a huge lesson. So keep that in mind. You want to tell stories And patients want to know your story. They really do. I can tell you that. Okay, so let's not miss this point right here. Send out the amount of email you send out is going to determine your own people is going to determine your income more than anything else. So the first problem that you would run into is, do you have their email addresses? So, as a little exercise, if you're jotting down little notes yourself, write down, get everyone's email address, because that's hard. Your receptionist is busy, your office manager, you'd think they would take it down. Half the time I'll look down, it's not there. Not half the time, but like 20% of the time, hey, you need to get. So doctors, this is your, take this on yourself. That you're the senior executive marketing person, make sure that the email addresses are being collected, because they are gold. Okay, why is marketing to your own people? There's a trick here. I got to I don't want to leave this. Number one, there's two reasons why marketing to your own people, or promoting to your own people. Well, marketing, because it can be either content or you can be selling something to them.
What would you say the percentage is? Not to break your
5 to 1.
5 to 1. So selling a product, talking about an all-on-4 in one, and then
at least
4 or 5 other emails that are about chocolate or you playing basketball.
Yes.
So when you're in college and stuff. So
I've got to tell you, I have a content thing coming up. I do. It's just fantastic. But I don't want to get off the subject too much. But if we have enough time, by the way, we're trying to finish in 45 minutes. I like to be efficient. If we remind me,
we only have 3 minutes.
Oh, we have 3 minutes. Okay. So the first 2 sections are the most important thing. Reason that promoting or communicating with engaging your own people is the most important thing. Number one, repeat buyers is the biggest part of anyone's business. It should be. Okay. If they bought from you before, they will then likely buy from you again. Okay. Number 2 reason, this is a tricky one. I discovered this. I have not read this anywhere, and I discovered from experience. People say you have all these new patients coming. How many new patients do you have out there you've presented a $20,000, $30,000 treatment plan to? And oh, okay, good. How many patients out there, and then they don't close? I see these people saying, I close 80% of my case, not, whatever. No, you don't. If you're closing 80% of your cases, you should be doing this webinar. No one closes 80% of their cases, I don't think. Okay, so, but if it's the follow-up is where you close large cases. Because let's face it, we just had a lady in today. I want upper and lower zircon bridges. Great. And I'm ready to start. I've already researched. You're the person to do it. Is she going to close today? No, unlikely, even though she says she's ready, and she wasn't, but she is going to do it. We're starting on 1 arch at a time. So the point is, your email is like drip marketing. It's the follow-up. It's the nurturing of these large cases. Really critical point right there. If you're not doing that, then you're wasting some low-hanging fruit that's just sitting or waiting for. So if you do it next week, you'll have income immediately. Keep track of that. Oh,
you want to go back to the screen share?
Yeah, let's share back.
Yeah. And then I'm supposed to ask you some questions about a story here in a minute, but tell me when.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, so the third piece, did I recap? Yeah, we recap the key takeaways. So you got it, email and word of mouth is I kind of skipped that. There's the two takeaways from promotion.
And then it's okay to talk about chocolate.
And it's okay to talk about chocolate or anything else. People are interested in things. Okay, so here we are, sales. My favorite subject nowadays, almost. My new patient consultations or any treatment plan presentation is my favorite thing, because I'm just engaging the person and I'm not selling. I use advocacy selling, have for years. A shout out to Dr. Paul Homley, if you're the legend, if you're listening to this or happen to see it later on YouTube or whatever. I read his book, Isn't It Nice When Patients Say Yes, or whatever. He wrote about 3 books. Kind of a complex book, frankly. Here, I'll summarize it for you right here. Don't sell. Because people are way too savvy to be sold by selling, honestly. All they want to know is, do you have my interest at heart? And so what do you do if you don't sell? You just give them their choices. I know that one of the top dental consultant firms in the country trains the doctors to not give choices, just to make up the big treatment plan. You know what patients call that treatment plan? The laundry list. They know what you're going to do. Don't do that. Okay. We're going to do a selling webinar.
Okay.
We'll spend a whole 45 minutes on this. Trust me. The bottom line is just don't sell. Just sit down and enjoy yourself with the patient. by the way, I got to back up and say another thing.
You've got to tell that story now.
Okay, we're in Sullivan.
This has to be time for that story. Patient comes in, older gentleman, steel worker or something, right?
I have to interject that thing I was going to say. Okay, doctors, office managers of most of the office, I know you already know this. Everything we're saying tonight, we're just kind of reminding you of it. Maybe a few things new. Hopefully that email promotion thing, reinforce them. So I'm not trying to talk down to you or anything like that. I have a lot of top quality. Scott has told me who some of you guys are, top offices. You're doing this already, so cool. Just want to share what we have here.
We'd like your feedback. So
yeah,
if it's helpful and what you learned.
Well, we're talking about, we think we can learn. Let's all learn together. Yeah. So, there it is right there. I'll tell the story in a sec. I think we're coming to it. I make the patient reach for the service. They have to actually ask for it. I know that sounds outrageous, but they do. It's not like I'm cold or anything, but here's the point of all of this in one sentence. Large cases require deep trust. We do not try to close a large case on the first appointment. We want a relationship. I want to do, come back with a scan or whatever. We literally come up with excuses not to ask for $30,000 on the first appointment. It's not a good look. Okay, so an example of wow selling. Now we come to the story. So just a couple days ago, this is just an example, and I don't have a picture of the patient, and I probably couldn't show it anyway, but this guy came in, and I saw in the little Dentrix window appointment description. You can just go to the full screen if you want, Scott.
Oh, sure.
And it says that thing that doctor's office managers is what you love to see. Patient wants upper and lower implants, is tired of his upper denture, or something like that. Oh, great. We have a large case and whatever. Right. And I know you already know this, where I'm going with this, not necessarily. Right. So, but by the way,
it's still probably kind of exciting if you think they've already been sold.
Well, yeah, you do want to see that. It's and I'm not saying that all of them are like this. It's just that it's not necessarily, that's all. So this guy sits down, he's probably 60, 70 years old, and a sharp guy. And I said, what can I do for you? And he said, well, I have an upper denture, and I'm interested in having implants. Note that he says, I'm interested in having implants. And on the lower, he had just his lower anteriors, very typical situation. No posterior, no bicuspids or posterior teeth molars at all. And I hope some of the people are chat. Hi, Dr. Gilliman. My associate on here. Good job. See you tomorrow at the new office. Good. So the point on this is this right here. You can have no selling. You can make a sales consultation appointment into a wow appointment.
So that was this gentleman.
That was this guy. Watch what I did to turn this into a wow appointment. So I said, what's the scoop with the upper denture? Are you having problems? No. How long have you had dentures? 30 years. How long have you had this denture? 4 years. I've checked the denture, solid as a rock, looks nice. I said, okay. Then I look at the lower. He has 22, I think there were crowns or, whatever, but solid, solid bone, no posteriors, but he's 22. I said, how long have you been missing the back teeth? 20 years. I said, do you have any problems chewing? No. So I'm like, at this point I leaned back and I said, well, listen, here's the fact. I don't think you need implants. I wouldn't recommend implants at all. I think you're doing fine the way you are. And he said, okay, good. That's what I thought. I almost left this part. I don't know if I told you this part of the story. Here's where it got remarkable. So I'm going to enjoy they seemed like a nice guy, and I was enjoying the thing. And I said, by the way, you have a slight accent. Can I guess where? I'm an accent buff. And I said, where's your accent from? And I said, do you want me to guess where your accent's from? And he said, yeah, go ahead. And I said, I think Croatia. And he was like shocked. And I said, well, he said, how'd you know? And I said, well, your last name was a little similar to another patient I have, John, one of my favorite patients. He goes, oh, okay, cool. But he was impressed. Then I said, I have another thing. I like to guess what people's career is, profession is. I didn't tell you this part, did I?
I think you did.
Oh, I did.
But
okay.
I don't remember how you determined what his profession was or what it was.
I bet all the doctors out there, know the answer to this. Okay, I know you do, because you can't you tell a patient what a patient kind of does? You can tell. How should I put? You can tell a salesperson. You can tell let me just go engineer. Engineers, you and I know. office managers, doctors, we know engineers come across, and my son-in-law is an engineer, so he's probably listening to this. Robert, if you're listening to this, get back to the Mars rover. They're actually testing it tonight right now.
Wow.
I hope I can say that.
And this gentleman was an engineer.
I said, you're an engineer. And he was like utterly shocked. And as he stood up,
engineers are readable, but they're very,
he was kind of reserved.
They're surprised.
Well, they're analytical. That's why doctors, you know what I'm saying? They're analytical. So you can just tell, I can spot them a mile away. I can spot a school teacher pretty much. Nurses, they're always like the most, frankly, they're high fear patients half the time, nurses. That's a terrible categorization. So anyway, bottom line is the guy stood up and he was so shocked. And I heard him walking down the hallway. He was in wonderment because he said, wow, Dr. Cutts, he told me this too, but before he left, but he just remarked repeatedly on my honesty, number one. And then number two, he guessed exactly where I'm from and what I did. So anyway, the point is you can make a new patient consultation a wow experience just by the genuineness and the fun you're having.
Well, and he was surprised of the experience that you didn't try to sell him.
Exactly.
As I remember.
And I never,
right. So,
and
he went away saying, well, I got to bring my wife in here.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's walking, he goes, he leaned back, he goes, my wife's going to be in next, so there you go.
Well, and then you have another patient tomorrow that I believe you're seeing to do some major treatment on.
Yeah. We're doing a Zirc immediate load hybrid in preparation for a zircon. Is that who you're talking about? Oh no.
Yes. Well, you're delivering upper and lower. You're delivering.
I'm going to show that case.
So you're delivering that, but you told me about another patient that you had that was kind of the this gentleman. A few years later, they came in and they didn't want to do the treatment. They pretty much accepted what you were saying to do a major dentistry, and you're seeing him tomorrow.
That's John. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the hybrid case.
That's the hybrid case.
Yeah.
Okay. Future hybrid case. So.
Yeah. You'll be seeing it in about, you already made the denture.
Okay.
By the way, doctors, I'm going to show you the sequence of all this is fascinating. And, the big lab has their sequence and Pretau seminars has their sequence and so forth. And they're all pretty much the same. I'll show you what, when we do the the full arch zircon thing, I'm going to show you exactly how the big implant center does things. The actual implants they use, the abutments, with how surgery and prosthetics work seamlessly together. I'm going to show you the whole system. Okay, so let's go back to the program. We're about to wrap up here. Thanks for hanging with us. We're at 50 minutes now.
Yeah. Our
goal is to be in under 45 minutes and time for questions. So we got to be under an hour here or else we're going to lose all credibility. Right, Scott?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see. So the selling recap, I didn't put it in there. The selling recap is don't sell. You say, just have that conversation with the person and give them their three options. When I do the selling webinar, I'm going to show you how you do the three options. Again, I bet a lot of the doctors already do this. Okay, so the final piece of the puzzle is clinical delivery. And in the webinar on All-on-4 and other parts of dentistry, we're going to jump right into that. I'm going to dig deeper into that. But for right now, you just want to deliver wow, and I'm going to give you a couple examples. So here's the case that we're delivering tomorrow. You just took these photos, right?
Yep, my nephew took these. Dylan.
Shout out to Dylan.
Yep.
The next generation coming along of high quality lab techs.
Beautiful case.
Beautiful case. This is Robert, upper and lower zircon. He's been in hybrids for about 5 months. I don't know why it went a little longer than usual. I think he was breaking things left and right, but it's going to be good to get him in, take out the hybrid prototypes, throw those away and put those babies in. My senior prosthetic lab tech will be doing a lot of that work, by the way. Okay, so I'm not allowed to say there you go. Here's a fun case I want to show you guys. Doing large cases, there's different kinds of large cases. Not all of them are all-on-4. Snap dentures and all-on-4 are the, I call them snap dentures, like locator dentures. That's, a very common case that we do, maybe 1 or 2 a week, I would say at least. That was the case today that the lady came in and is beginning. Anyway, the bottom line is, look at this case here. That's number 31. Yeah, it's 31, I think. might be 30, but I think it's 31. I think that's the wisdom tooth behind it. But look at that defect on the mesial. And what she had, that's a roundhouse lower bridge. 22 is an abutment. Excuse me, 27 is abutment, 22 is abutment, and it goes over to 19. And she was treating plan in another office for sectioning this off, but that wouldn't have worked because then the whole thing has to come out. So long story short, the entire full, what do we call it, roundhouse bridge is resting on that tooth. And she's been in severe pain, swelling. You can see, I mean, she's had that for years. What a defect that is. By the way, why do you think the mesial root has that? I'm going to show you a picture in just a second. There's the finish. So I did an endo. Okay, so I use lateral condensation for all you younger doctors out there still. So there's the endo. And then what's the next step? So I told her, you know what, let's go all out to save that tooth. Because look at the distal root. That's not bad. In fact, that's solid bone. What's the furcation involvement there? Maybe a class 2 or 3. I don't know what that means either. Class 2 or 3, Scott. That means that you can poke in there, but it doesn't go all the way through. It's not a through and through. There's some bone on the lingual, there's a lingual plate there. That's great, because then you can graft against that. So guess what? We go in, there it is, all cleaned out. What is that there on the mesial root? Can they see where I'm pointing? No, they can't. Right on the mesial root, heavy sheets of mineral deposits, calculus, tartar, whatever you want to, filled with bacteria, been there for years. She's really lucky that it just took out the mesial root. I was thinking I was going to do a hemisection, take a root amputation, but there's solid bone in between the two roots. Doctors, the furcation, and there's solid bone lingually. I took the probe, went right in, boom, we're solid. Guess what? So what I did is I took some BMP. Okay, sorry, I don't want to use terminology people are not familiar with. Office managers, BMP is a fancy $1,000 per milliliter liquid that spinal surgeons use. They've been using it for about 16 years. It's come into dentistry. Shout out to Dr. Picos down there in Florida and Aaron Garg and all the other hotshot oral surgeons that I've gone and done seminars where they introduced me to that. It explosively grows bone. So you put it in a little collagen sponge, put it down in there. You really don't even need allograft, which is particulate bone. But I don't know how these doctors take pictures in the middle of surgery. I had barely enough time to stop and do that. But there you go. We piled the sponge underneath it of the bone morphogenic protein, BMP, which is basically synthesized human growth hormone. That's what it is for bone. And then I put particulate bone, membrane the heck out of it so the gum tissue doesn't grow in faster than bone. I think she's going to, by the way, see number 27 there has some major problems also, but it's at least solid. Probably have to do endo and a post buildup on it.
So what are the chances you're going to save that bridge then?
You're right on. I was thinking, I think we're going to buy her 5 to 7 years. And by the way, that'll probably turn into a large case down the road, but we're definitely buying her that's going to be good for a while. I'm very confident of that. Okay. So that's clinical wow delivery right there. She knew that went very well.
Well, she had to be appreciative that you didn't want to just replace her bridge. You said that she went to another office and they didn't really give her those options that she gave her.
Yeah, I forgot the story on her now that you mention it. The new patient consultation was in this is in a nutshell, my entire practice right here, all my promotion and marketing in a nutshell. She comes in, new patient consultation. I walk in, I said, what can I do for you? And she said, well, first of all, I just want to say that I was referred by 2 of your patients and I got your postcard.
Oh, wow.
You see that? So she gets my postcard.
Amazing.
Which is promotion, but has some content, experience, whatever. But 2 patients, but here's the part, doctors, have you ever had someone be this much of a wise, what? She said, one patient highly recommended you, and the other patient said, you better watch out for him. True.
It sounds like we better watch out for him. Wink, wink.
I'm not speechless very often, but I just went, okay. And turns out she's a big practical jokester. Well, it sounds like something I'd say to someone, because then she goes, one was Lori, I can't say her name, Lori Baba, that has been a patient of yours, hasn't been in 10 years, but it's still, so she was joking because the one girl really likes me in the office and has been a very good patient and wanted to send a message to me that Lori H is joking with you. But I mean, for like 30 seconds, she let me just sit there going, well, okay, I got one patient that said he's terrible.
Oh, I get it.
But that's word of mouth marketing, promotion right there. Plus she actually got my postcard. So, okay. So here's the connection of everything for the whole webinar. Wow delivery is your marketing. It starts, doctors, your marketing. See why I'm saying that your marketing is in your hands? Office managers, you're responsible for technical delivery and quality and happiness of your patients. So your marketing does not need to be in the hands of some marketer out there. Go ahead and hire people, do digital online thing. That's fine. I'm not into that. I'm not saying don't do that. But what I'm saying is your marketing is in your hands, because your marketing is the quality of your wow delivery, which is word of mouth. Does that make sense? Did I summarize that? Okay. Yep. Okay. So number 2, don't have time to get into, but I'm just going to make one quick comment. How to exceed expectations. Hint, it starts with the doctor and continues with sales. Okay. I'm going to be just talking heart to heart to the doctors and office managers right now. That word expectations has become the buzzword in my practice in the last 2 to 3 months. Why? Because I went to a seminar, frankly, where a guy told the story of how expectations set whether something's wow for someone. If someone goes into a restaurant and they've been told that it's a 5-star restaurant and the steaks are the best in the world, and they get a steak and it's best in the world, they're not going to, you have to be exceeding the expectations. If they're expecting that, they aren't necessarily going to be blown away. Here's what I'm going to give you the dental version of that. If a patient comes in and they say, I want to have my smile redone, and you decide to do, and you're going to do veneers 5 through 12 or crowns, porcelain crowns 5 through 12. And by the way, I wish we could show some of the cases you guys have done recently. I'm not a cosmetic dentist. I do a ton of cosmetic dentistry. It's an inside joke. We're all cosmetic dentists is my point. But back to these. So if you have a patient who comes in and they have a picture in their mind, doctors know where I'm going with this. All right, I know you do already. And that picture is beyond what you can possibly do, you're in trouble. How many times have you ever delivered beautiful work, this and that? You hand the mirror to the patient, or you do a great surgery, you put in 4 implants, it was perfectly done, and they're not unhappy, maybe, but they're like, oh, okay.
Is this like the patient, we get it all the time from the doctors, where the patient sends in their high school pictures and they want to look like this? Is that what you're kind of talking about?
Yes. Okay. So here's how, okay. So you all know what I'm talking about, I hope by now, because it's if wow is exceeding expectations and they already have this expectation, you're in trouble. Okay. So one of the things that's taken me 30 some years in dentistry finally to face up to is I reset their expectations down here. And here's the inside scoop. We're back into sales now in a way. Your treatment closer and salesperson has to be on the same page with you of lowering their expectations.
So under promise, but over deliver.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's another whole subject. We'll go into more in the sales webinar. Okay. I'm going to give you an example of where you wouldn't think of it. I, for years, used to say, how can I deliver wow dentistry on a filling or on a crown? I mean, just they expect it to fit fine and be good. You're not going to get wow. Maybe you can do extra good service, be on time. That's my big, bugaboo, being on time. And I think it's a problem for everyone. So you can accomplish a little bit of wow that, see them immediately. The numbing, it didn't hurt at all. They had them in and out in 45 minutes for a crown with the temporary. Okay, good. Here's an example. Wow for re-cementing a crown. So let me just see. Okay, good. I had a lady, this was one of my biggest wow experiences, and it was for re-cementing her crown. She's the daughter of one of my favorite patients, kind of like part of our family, really. And she came in, she was visiting her mother, taking care of her actually after an illness. And she called, I knew her from Facebook. So she called me and said, this is Brianna. Hopefully I can, yeah, Brianna, hi, I can use her. And Brianna calls me, she goes, I need to come in. I lost a crown. I said, come on in. She lost number 18, Alzi zirconia crown, not from Procraft or me, because she's from out of town. And long story short is I'm cementing the crown. So I clean off, I try it in. How's that look? It looks, it's seated all the way down. It's a crown cementation, right? So I use Reliax. I put the Reliax, we etch the tooth, dry, clean, bonding. Reliax goes in, boom, bomb. And It's all cemented, clean off really, you know how Reliax is if you, or any of the bonding cements, clean like crazy, get it all out of there before it's hardened. And I say, okay, bite down to my head. That feels good. I said, okay, good. By the way, good is not good. It's got to be perfect. That you got to see the look on it. If I say it's good, nope, you're not there. So I have her bite on that. By the way, if a patient, my assistants are so highly trained, a patient goes, that feels good, they hand me the articulating paper.
Oh, wow.
Because you know it's doctors, you know what I'm saying. So she bites down on it, heavy blue mark on it. And I'm like, what's the first thing you think, doctors? Heavy blue mark, you just re-cemented a crown. Did you get it down all the way? Right? So I grind on it and I'm like, okay, well, it's our Reliax, it's on there. I take it down. It took me 10 minutes of care because you want to grind through it and then you're doing a crown for a new patient that's not your patient. I grind through it. I had to take off at least 1.5 millimeters of that crown. I kept checking the margins. Like, I'm thinking I must not have gotten that down.
And the margins look good?
The margins look good. And I'm like, I got to take an x-ray because it's, you know, a long story short is that I finally got the bite correct. And by the way, when I got the bite correct, she actually said the word, wow. And she, oh, that feels really good. And she started raving. And I said, well, let's take an x-ray. And
so what you're saying is you corrected someone else's work.
She said her bite had not been correct for 18 months when she got that crown.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. And docs, I don't know about you. I don't have time in the middle of large cases to be re-cementing crowns and spending, 20 minutes on it. But, and we're about to go to your chat questions. So all the questions pile on in right now. But I took the x-ray and good, it's seated down. And so, and plus she confirmed it. She confirmed what the real situation, it had not felt normal for 18 months. Okay, so here's the takeaways from our last section. Put the emphasis on wow delivery every minute. So I'm known for marketing. I love marketing. I'm into the whole thing. I studied it up the yin yang. I now have reversed, I flipped around. And when I think of marketing, I think of my clinical delivery every single day. Sure, we're all quality oriented. Sure, I do large cases and quality cases, but I've had to up my game because I want wow as much as possible every single time. So you see how it's flipped things around a little bit. So clinical delivery. And then the expectation thing, there it is. You've got to, in your sales process or early on in your treatment planning process, lower the expectations. I know that sounds crazy. We'll talk more about that in the webinar. All right, let's go to the chat questions.
Okay, let's see if we've, all right. I don't know how to scroll this up.
Oh, I love that comment right there. MJ, relief. I always felt like I don't fit when I don't sell. No, you see, you're on it. Love it. Carry on.
All right.
Calculus.
100%.
Yeah, calculus 100%.
How do you get that to scroll up? There might be some other something.
Don't know, just reduce the upper left there maybe, just so it's out of the way.
This one?
Yellow. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, just go into it and then we can scroll.
You gotta make it bigger?
Yeah, why not?
Wow, okay. All right, there aren't a lot of questions in here, but if you have them, go ahead and ask them. The next seminar.
This was great. When's the next one? Soon, about 2 weeks. Oh, thank you for that prompt. Two weeks. We'll send you out a link, right?
Yep, and an announcement of the date and things like that. Please let everybody know. I guess we can have up to 100 people. That's right. On our Zoom account for that. So the subject is, we're going to jump right into all-in-4 delivery and how even if you don't do a lot of all-in-4, I have a little trick up our sleeve how you should be doing. Keep hold of your large cases is the bottom line. Okay. All right. So no other questions at this point. So we must have answered everything. I guess. Or you must have answered everything. So. Dr. G is making a comment here. New message. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. So look for our link. I just want to close with this. You saw that upper and lower zircon case. I want to thank Greg Schubert for being such an awesome leader of Procraft Lab. Scott, my partner here, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's
And I
fun.
want to give a major shout out to Robert Hogg, my son-in-law, who took time between operating a spacecraft on another planet, works at for NASA. Spent, how many hours did he spend with us?
Uh, 2 or 3 evenings.
2 or 3 evenings,
You
you know, setting all this set up and
Getting
training
everything
us
ready.
on Zoom and all that sort of thing. So thank you very much, son-in-law. You have earned your keep for the
And
for
I'd
the
personally
year.
like to thank Dr. Cutts for, hosting this webinar with us, and for his wisdom, being able to learn from him. Our laboratories learned a lot in working with Dr. Cutts and his cases and things. He's an excellent clinician. And the more I hear about his office, the more impressed I am with
Oh,
the
stop,
things that
Scott, stop.
he's put in place to do big cases. I mean, being busy through these last 6 months
It's been awesome.
is not something that I would say most dentists say done. So,
Yeah, can I put a pitch in for something?
sure.
It's all right. I
Mhm.
mean, other than Procraft. So, by the way, doctors, tomorrow is almost my first day in our new office in Indian Wells, and we're expanding to other locations, and I need help. So, any of you, if you can pass the word around, we'll be opening up centers for adult dentistry in Las Vegas, and Salt Lake City are our next targets, North County, San Diego. So those 3 areas, if there's any doctors listening that have friends in those areas, dental staff, whatever, just email me, stay in touch, share this if you can, spread the word, and let's see if we can have, 1,000 people at the next webinar. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Awesome.
Sounds great. All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in, and I guess we'll sign off for now.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
All right.